And then there's one called Alfa Romeo Word to the Wise, and it's kind of intercut with Six Underground, like the Michael Bay movie. What was the story behind that? Like, did they ask you to try and match the film, or like, how did that work?
Yeah, that one was interesting because I got a call from my agent that Michael Bay liked my work and wanted to maybe do a job. And I kind of was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to get that job. And then they're like, hey, you got it. Like, and I'm like, what? And so that job, I was definitely the most nervous for out of any job. Michael Bay was directing, and I was just like, how is this going to work out? And so I was definitely really nervous about going into it. And it was one of those jobs where I didn't get a lot of prep. It was like, I got the job 2 days later. I think I was like flying out. And it was all Michael Bay's cameras. So he had all of his reds. He shipped them to Panavision, but Panavision was out of, like, I don't know why, but they were out of they're so busy that they didn't have any gear left. They didn't have any lenses. So it was like, we were really like trying to like scrape. I mean, we didn't even have battery plates for the cameras. And so it was one of the only jobs that I went into where I felt completely unprepared. And I was like, okay, well, I have 5 of his red cameras that the AC is like trying to piece together, including his kind of green Bayhem camera. And Panavision doesn't have any accessories. And so I was like, okay, this is not going good. And so we prepped the cameras at Panavision. I went to Florida, and again, it was like, I hadn't even talked to him yet. I mean, we kept trying to get on the phone, but he was never available. He was still finishing Six Underground. And so we went on a tech scout, and it was pretty much us following him around. And so we did this whole tech scout, and he really wanted this Panavision anamorphic lens that we couldn't get. And it was currently on, I think, Bad Boys at the time. And so we're sitting at lunch, and then all of a sudden, like, his producer calls the producer from Bad Boys, and he's like, hey, like, I can get you that lens like tonight at like midnight, but we're not prepped for it. We don't have Panavision mounts on the cameras. We don't. And so I was like, oh gosh, like it's my favorite lens to shoot cars with too. It's the 37 to 85 anamorphic zoom, kind of wide zoom, or there's 2 different kinds. There's the 40 to 80 and then the 37 to 85. And I love shooting car to car on that anamorphic zoom. And so anyway, we get the lens, and we start call times before sunrise. And so it's like, I don't know, 4:35 in the morning, and I get to set, and the AC is like, they can't get the focus motors and the iris motors to like work with the lens. They don't have the right pitched gears or whatever. And so all of a sudden it's just like panic mode. And I'm like, oh boy, like this is not good. Like we're about to start shooting soon, and we can't even get this lens to work, And so I'm kind of panicking. I'm like, this is the most nervous I've ever been on a job. And thankfully, like 5 minutes before he shows up, it works. It's like fixed, and it's like, okay, thank God. They're like, sorry, you're not gonna have iris control. And I'm just like, I need iris control. Like, I don't, and so Michael Bay shows up, and he's ready to shoot. Like he shows up in his Porsche, and he is very much ready to shoot, and he's making that very clear to everyone. And so I'm in the back of the car, and he likes to operate himself. So he jumps in the arm car, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just kind of like, okay. And he gets on the walkie-talkie, and he just starts telling all the police officers to shut the bridge down. So all the police officers like race ahead. They shut the bridge down. They'll like do whatever they want for Michael Bay. It's kind of funny. And then we jump on the bridge, and then before we know it, we're going 80 miles an hour by the time we get onto the freeway, and going back and forth. And it was kind of cool because we like operated together. So he was operating the wheels, and then I was doing zoom, iris, roll, and I had a camera shaker too that I would mess with. And so basically, as we were shooting, he would just ask me to kind of fuck it up more and more. He's like, make it, crazier, and then I would zoom in, and I would shake it, or roll it, and then we kind of got this rhythm to where we're just kind of operating together. And when we get to the end of it, he's like, all right, that was good, let's do it again. And I'm like, okay. And so it kind of turned into, honestly, like one of the most fun days I've ever had on a film shoot. Michael Bay has a lot of energy. He likes to operate everything himself for the most part. But in the arm car, we would kind of dual operate, and it was great. We were having a good time, and basically we'd pull over, go somewhere else. He would grab his kind of Bayhem camera, shoot with that for a while, and then I would get another camera, shoot another angle. We jump back in the arm car. It was, one of the Alfa Romeos got stuck in the sand as it was trying to like drift around this corner. And then before you know it, Michael Bay jumps out of the car, and he's the first one pushing the car out of the sand. He's like, come on guys, come on, let's go. And it's like, okay, like he jumps in and he's ready to go. And there was definitely some cool stuff that he was doing that I learned. Like he would have us line up a bunch of mirrors in the background and have some grips go there, and they would just basically hit the camera like dead in the lens with the mirrors and go on a really long zoom. And as the car would whip by, we whipped by all these mirrors, but it was going so fast that you couldn't see what was happening, but it's just all these flares and and just kind of blow out or anything. And then we get like torches that you torch roofs down, and he would sit there and someone underneath the cameras with a big torch, getting heat coming up in front of the lens, and then mirrors 100 feet away just directly into the lens. And so it was really fun to kind of watch that and kind of operate next to him like that. And I definitely learned a lot. He kind of he's really good at basically making every shot feel as energetic as possible. Like that's his whole goal. And this was different. This is like a commercial as opposed to a narrative, but I mean, I think he approaches his feature films in a similar way. And we had this one shot that was rigged onto the back. We got like a Camaro or a Mustang, and he wanted a hard mount shot. And so his key grip would tell me that basically he rigs the shots. We go around, we shoot it. I think I jumped in the passenger seat and I had a monitor, and we do it, and you come back and we watch it, and then you'd be like, no, I want crazier. And so then the key grip would kind of take the support off of it, like kind of undo a little support, and then the camera starts shaking a little more, and come back and be like, no, let's make it crazier. And kind of like, I mean, not to a point where it was unsafe, but to a point where it just starts creating all this vibration. So you got this hard rig shot that we're trying to peel apart to make it, create more vibration, more shake, kind of make it feel a little more visceral. Longer lens, he's always all about long lens. And I feel like it was one of those days where I was like, okay, he's gonna do what he wants. There's no one that's gonna stop him, and I'm just kind of along for the ride. And so I would just like run over, adjust his polarizer, run back, jump on another camera. And it's always about everything we do. He'd just be like, let's make it crazier, And so that was a one wild day in Miami.
He lives up to the name Bayhem.
It was Bayhem, yeah, for sure, yeah. He definitely lives up to his name. It was fun, and like I said, he knows what he wants, and he knows how to make an energetic shot. So I really enjoyed working with him. I thought it was fun.
Because some of the shots, like if you watch the 6 Underground, like you see like how overexposed some of the highlights are. It's like, okay, that's the style, so you kind of just have to let go sometimes with, all right, this is what he wants.
You do have to let go a little bit. I mean, I think that there were times where I would kind of look at a monitor and then I'd run over and I would like adjust the iris a little bit, or like switch the polarizer, shake it up a little bit. And yeah, I mean, for him, it's all about just kind of the visceral energy of it. And I respect that. I like that. It's like, don't get caught up on the details if it's perfectly exposed, but it's more about a feeling, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, I know he's been like criticized with some of the movies he's done with like the cameras too moving everywhere, like Transformers or something. It's like, what's happening?
Camera gets crazy, but I don't know, like I said earlier, it's like I'm all about trying to get what the director wants or needs. I'm totally down. It's like, okay, if that's the style, if that's like the film language for this particular project, like, yeah, let's go. Like, let's make it crazy. Let's try and really have an energy to it if that's what we're going for. So yeah, I'm all about it. I feel like if everyone did the same thing, it'd be boring, but he's off doing kind of his own thing, and he's good at it. I mean, he's good at making really impressive shots and moving the camera in a really interesting way. like you said, like, he has those classic kind of like dolly shots, those swirling shots and stuff. And it's like he kind of invented a bit of a style himself. Like I said, there was some stuff that we were doing on that commercial that I was like, wow, like that was a really great 2 seconds. Like in that shot and that thing, like that was really impressive. And he can kind of do it with very little, but he knows kind of how to hit it. So it's impressive to watch, and it's definitely his style. Like I'm all about, like, if that's his style, that's his thing. Like, yeah, I support it. Let's do it.
Yeah, because I think he started off, I'm not sure if it was like with propaganda and like him and David Fincher and like doing all those commercials, and they both went off and did obviously different styles. But yeah, growing up or like building your real experience doing commercials, I guess you learn a lot because each shot is only small, like 1 or 2 seconds, depending on what kind of commercial it is. Obviously, you can do the long takes, but for the most part, they're only quick little short things where you're kind of catching these little moments in time and putting it to a larger edit.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because I don't work in features. I'd like to, but it's one thing is, like, I think in 2 second chunks. So it's like I know that, when I'm looking to get a shot for a commercial, like I only really need to worry about 2 seconds. But then at the flip side, like I'm also getting tired of that, where I'm like, oh, I'd love to have a shot that lasts more than 2 seconds, in a film, because I like designing shots. I like long shots. I like, deliberate moves and camera moves that maybe are slow or take a second. And so it's like in commercials, it's like, sometimes we set up, or it happens all the time, we set up these big long shots, and then you watch the edit and they don't even use when the dolly moved, and then you had this kind of planned, orchestrated thing that never sees the light of day. But it's also interesting, and it definitely has shaped the way I look at things, where I'm like, okay, yeah, 2 second chunk, that I need to worry about.